Hey everybody, it is Romania Black, and Haikyuu episode 15 is here. So I'm sorry I couldn't record this until Monday. I'm pretty excited because we ended off with the quick attack in the manga, and so I'm really, really thrilled that we got that. What I'm going to do is watch the episode 15, and then I'm going to stop, go back and reread the manga to catch up with what was missed from those chapters, make sure that nothing was left out of the anime, and then come back and talk about the episode. We're gonna do non-spoilers, of course, after we watch, and then go back and do like a little spoiler corner. But yeah, so last episode we got our boys back. We got the game between Inarizaki and Krasno underway. Atsunomiya being a fanboy of the quick attack from Hinata and Kageyama, and then at the end of the episode, him and his twin brother basically imitating it. So this is the thing. It's problematic. We've seen other teams do quick attacks, and we've seen other teams show like combinations and strategies and blocking, but this is kind of the first time we've seen a duo being able to imitate and be on par with Kageyama and Hinata, which is terrifying, and definitely showing why Inarizaki might have gotten second place last year in the Inter High tournament. Maybe there's a reason why. There's still lots of questions to be asked about this series. I don't want to go into spoilers, so I'm going to save those. But as far as the episode goes, I'm ready to dive in. Thank you all so much for watching. Of course, because of copyright, there's going to be a link down below. The link down below is going to jump right into the reaction. And then on Patreon, the full link is going to be on there as well. So I'm pretty excited. We'll come back and talk about this after I read the manga and watch the episode, and then go from there. So thank you all again for watching. I hope you enjoy the reaction, and I hope you come back after the little break here, and we'll do some discussion about it. All right, thanks everybody, and I'll see y'all very soon. So we are going to start this episode reaction in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Okay, so I went back and read the manga, and we're going to talk a little bit about the manga here, and then most of it's going to be for spoilers. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and address the elephant in the room. I did not watch any spoilers or any clips from this episode, but I had heard from someone on Patreon. Wu had messaged me on Patreon and on Discord and was like, I heard that people were complaining about the animation in this episode. It is noticeable, but you know what? I've watched anime with much worse animation. So, I did not let that distract me too much. I mean, yeah, it's not as polished. The lighting isn't there from like episode 14. And there are a few character design moments that I was like, oh yeah, that definitely is, you can tell. I mean, what she told me was that this episode had been housed out to a different animation studio just because of everything going on and time constraints. And it sucks, but there are a few moments that were very, very much kept from the manga that I appreciate. One is Hinata's face when the two gentlemen say, does that look like a disappointed face to you or a discouraged face? And Hinata's all like, that face, if you go actually look back in the manga, the animation for Hinata's face there, it looks kind of derpy, but it's exactly how it is in the manga. And then the other thing is, too, Bokudo's face, which I love when he says damn crows and talking about them scavenge. That face is identical to the manga. So I am glad they kept a couple of those in. There were a couple of decisions animation-wise that in the episode I was like, oh, why'd they do that? And then when you looked at the manga, it's exactly like the manga. The main one being Hinata realizing which blocker does he hate the most. And I actually think this is a very odd choice for Hinata. He's like, which blocker frustrated me the most? And it's Matsukawa from Abajosai. It's Matsune of Hanamaki and Matsune. That the fact that his blocking style is what Hinata was most frustrated by blows my mind, because I'm like, really? That's the blocker you dislike the most? But in the manga, in the episode when they showed it, the screen was black and we could just see Matsukawa's words being like, oh, you think you're going to do a cross shot? And he makes him do a line shot instead. And in the moment, in the episode, I was like, was that the animation studio being cheap and not showing us Matsukawa's face until afterwards? But no, in the actual manga, it's just a black screen and the words that Matsune says, and then afterwards they show us his face, and that's exactly what the episode does. So I was gonna give the episode a hard time about that, but then going back and reading the manga, I'm like, oh, okay, it's exactly how it was. But yeah, so the animation, it is what it is. I can complain about it, but it doesn't change the episode and what happens in it. I'm assuming that when we go back next week, the animation studio is going to pick back up, because just from the preview, it looks better already. This episode here went through 6 chapters in the manga, which we'll talk a little bit more in the spoiler corner about that, but it covers a lot of ground in this match. And this is still a long match, so there's still plenty left to go. But it does cover quite a bit. Some notes that are non-spoilery about this episode. I like Tsukishima's laugh. Like, him laughing is so odd and kind of off-putting that we're like, wait, what? I like that. I really appreciate the moment where I was wondering, because Yamaguchi, when serving, I'm like, we've seen how Asahi is clearly has been affected by the crowd, the Inarizaki cheering section. And in the back of my head last episode, I was like, I wonder what's going to happen when Yamaguchi goes up against it. And we see that, and I felt so bad. Like, Yamaguchi's like, my sign's blocked, what do I do? My zen is thrown off. And then, of course, the supermarket worker, the alumni, is like, look, here's the bag with this crazy pig. And he's like, oh yeah. So I love that he gets that moment. And I like that Kinoshita, because we've set up in the Boy Ball arc that Kinoshita has been working on his serves as well. And in the Boy Ball arc, Yamaguchi was getting frustrated that Kinoshita was having success, and he was like, I should be doing the same. And so I like that we get that little callback to when Yamaguchi gets the jump floater and Aran can't receive it. And it has that cool spin on the end and it gets out of there. I like that we cut back to Kinoshita and he's like, that was awesome. And you can see he's determined and fired up and he wants to do good. And I really like that, because it's like, you know that Kinoshita is the second year. So next year when they play, Kinoshita he's gonna be like one of those lead pinch servers, just like Yamaguchi. And that's really cool. Other notes too, I like that we're still getting Bokudo and Akashi talking about the match, and they've pretty much adopted the crows as their adopted children. I really like that. I like that we're getting more into Inarizaki's team slowly but surely. The twins, Osamu and Atsumu, I love their brotherly dynamic. I like the flashback that we get. We get to see Osamu before they dyed their hair, like his hair's brown, like dark brown. That's really cute. And I like that Osamu addresses the idea that Atsumu's kind of trash. he doesn't pay attention. He doesn't listen to Osamu when Osamu's like, hey, I'm gonna go study it, and Atsumu's like, why didn't you tell me? And he's like, I did. He borrows things without asking and doesn't return them. And Atsumu's looking very dashing in his blazer, and he borrows Osamu's clothes and is like, oh yeah, I'll bring it back. And Osamu's like, really? And he lies. He's like, I didn't eat this. And I love, he's like, I didn't eat it. And he's like, seriously, you're just sitting there eating the food. So I like that we have Atsumu getting painted as a not perfect character, because as much as we all in the Haikyuu fandom like to poke fun and do the memes with Ushijima being this like perfect stoic gentleman, it's really hard to kind of be like, oh well, we can't really poke fun at him except that he's too rigid. With Atsumu is exactly the opposite of Ushijima. If Ushijima is this by the book, stoic, strict character, Atsumu is this lying, crass, flies by the seat of his pants character. It's just like, what? And is just totally opposite of Ushijima. And I like that dynamic for this match, that it's really, he's just, as he's shown with Osamu, they're just going to try whatever works and just see what happens. And the rest of the team kind of just accepts that. They're like, yeah, these guys are good, so when they experiment, we're just going to go along with it, because Atsumu somehow finds a way to make it work. So that makes them very dangerous. And I like this idea of Hinata getting more into the defensive side of volleyball. It's carrying us over right from that Boy Ball arc. It's saying, okay, yep, Hinata figured out that there's more on the court than just scoring, and now he wants to start getting into the defensive aspects of it. And I love that. That's such a character development for Hinata, and I love it. And I want to see that, because in this match, we've clearly established that the offensive powerhouse of Karasuno is not going to be enough. Because Inarizaki is just like Karasuno in that they'll try things. They're foxes, so they'll try things and be sly and crafty, and Karasuno is going to have to find a way to get around that. So us developing defense is going to be a pretty big deal. So I like that Tanaka's childhood friend got really mad when those guys were basically making fun of Tanaka and saying, oh, he's just the energetic guy. And she's like in the background, like, don't you be talking about my friend like that. Like, I like that was a really good scene. And I like the dynamic of seeing the coach. I thought about this in the moment during the episode in that Alba Josai, it instantly drew me back because a lot of people make comparisons between Atsumu and Oikawa. And I think that they're very different characters. And we'll probably talk more about this later on in the season, but Alba Josai are very, very deconstructive. Like when they have timeouts, Oikawa is like breaking down all the moves and everything and saying like, hey, look, watch number 10, he's doing this, he's doing that. And he's very calculative and decisive and kind of is able to critically analyze the situation and break it down. In this timeout, we've established that Inarizaki's not exactly like that. Atsumu is paying attention and he's noticing things about Hinata, but he's not on the Oikawa level of breaking it down and getting as calculating with it, because we've seen that the coach is the one that points out certain things for the team. And he's like, hey, keep in mind with this. Whereas if it had been Alba Josai, it would have been Oikawa making those calls instead of the coach. So just little tiny nuances to make these teams different, but seeing that dynamic. And we still haven't seen anything out of the captain. We still haven't seen him come into play, so he's just kind of on the sidelines. I do like that when the two twins are arguing, the rest of the team's just like, here we go again. Like, this is a pretty normal thing. So yeah, lots of things to think about. Next episode's called Broken Heart. That won't be ominous at all. But I've got some things I want to talk about in the spoiler corner, but I don't want to talk any more about it because I don't want to give anything away. So if you don't want to be spoiled, thank you so much for watching the reaction and for listening to me ramble. And I hope you all come back next week. I'm pretty sure the animation is going to pick back up next week. It sucks that it was different this week, but like I said, I've watched far worse anime with far worse animation. So it was, I noticed it, but it didn't take away from my overall enjoyment of the episode and what's happening, because things are still in play. So it is what it is, but I still appreciated it. So hopefully next episode we get back to normal. And hey, we're getting Haikyuu. Either way, I'll take this. I'll take this episode. If this one episode is the blip, fine. But anyway, I'm excited for next week's episode. I hope you all are too. Stick around for spoilers, but otherwise, have a safe week. Take care, and I'll talk to you all soon. For everybody else, let's talk a little spoilers. So, went back and read the manga, and like I said, it goes chapter 56 through chapter 256 to 260. So, covered a lot in this chapter, and there was stuff left out in this episode that was shown in the manga that was not shown in this. Episode 14 was pretty much by the book in terms of what was shown in the manga, but this left out some stuff. Some of the things weren't too big of a deal, and I was like, okay, you left that out. But there's a couple things that I was like, I hope they keep in future episodes, and I really don't want them to cut it out necessarily. Again, this match goes until chapter 290, so we still have 30 chapters to go. So if we only got 6 per chapter, at this point, I'm pretty sure we're gonna keep up. This whole season is gonna end up with the Inarizaki match. Like, at this point, they're gonna tease Nekoma at this point, but the fact that we only got through 6 chapters and we still have 30 to go, they're going to end up just at least teasing or starting Nekoma when this season ends. I'm pretty sure. So, as far as what was left out, right off the bat in chapter 254, they left out Asahi's service ace, I'm pretty sure. And there was a little flashback in the chapter to Asahi being nervous and Ukai telling him to like clench his fist and like to clench and release stress, like kind of like you're shrug and then you let go like this, so you like release all this tension. And they cut that out, and I think they might have shown Asahi getting the service ace, but they left that part out, I believe. And so I was a little disappointed in that. I don't know if they're going to maybe bring it back later. I'm not sure. I definitely noticed Ukai's design was off in this episode. I was like, ooh, that character design was a bit off, but what can you do? The thing that they left a little bit of Daisho and Mika out of explaining things, which the only thing Daisho and Mika explained in the chapters that would have been in this episode is they were breaking down Tsukishima's blocking a little bit more, which I was okay with that because at this point we've broken down Tsukishima as a read blocker. He's systematic. We've broken that down enough with Shiro Torizawa that I was like, okay, we didn't need to explain that again for the reader or the watcher. But one thing I was disappointed with is that Alba Josai is brought up 2 times in chapters 254 to 260. Alba Josai is shown watching the match, and they make commentary a few times. And they show them in the ED, and I'm hoping that they're not going to leave them out of these episodes. Because last episode, I was so excited to see the ED because I was like, oh yeah, everybody's watching. That's such a big part of this match, is everyone watching the match and seeing what's happening. And spoilers, Oikawa makes an appearance in this, should make an appearance this season, and it's going to relate to Kageyama. And Oikawa watching the match is going to be tied into that. And I'm like, if y'all leave that out, I'm going to be really mad. Because that's a big moment showing Kageyama getting to Oikawa's level. And they need to have him cameo and show that. So I was disappointed they left Alba Josai out. Because in the manga, they show that the underclassmen, not the third years, but the first and second years of Alba Josai are watching the match all in like one of the classrooms. They're watching it on the TV. And there's a really cool moment where Hinata, when he blocks Osamu's shot, it cuts back to Kendaichi and Kunami, who are in the ball boy arc with Hinata. And Kendaichi's like, stupid Hinata, you're actually learning things. And it's a cool tie back to Hinata's growth. And so I was really sad that they didn't show that here, because it would have been a nice callback to, okay, these guys that have played with Hinata and seen Hinata try to get defensive, they're watching too. And they're seeing Hinata's growth the same time we are. So, I do love that we're getting into Hinata wanting to become a more defensive volleyball player. Like, this is the start. Like, Inarizaki is the start of Hinata really figuring out that I don't have to be just a spiker. I can do these other things too. And I'm so excited to see where that goes from with this. But I was really happy. I'm like, oh yeah, this is starting the whole thing. The Olympic coaches, I don't think they're labeled in this episode. And so unless you watched the beginning of season 4 and saw Coach Hibaraida, unless you saw him from the beginning and recognized him, you may not know who he is, but those are the 2 Olympic coaches that are scouting. And oh my gosh, I was trying to contain myself, but when they're talking about the fact that Hinata is realizing that other setters can do the quick attack with him, like my spoiler brain, I was like, Atsumu's gonna set for him, it's all being set up in this match. And I was like, oh my gosh, because yeah, Atsumu's gonna be one of Hinata's setters, and it's like this whole match is setting all that up. It's a beautiful foreshadowing that Atsumu can do the quick attack with Hinata, and they foreshadow it here too, because Atsumu gets really mad at his twin brother. He's like, you're slacking, you're not paying attention, you're not giving it your 120%, And that's such a beautiful foreshadowing by Furudate, where he's like, don't worry, Atsumu, you're going to get a spiker that's going to give you 120%. And that's going to be our ball of sunshine. And I love this match because it's setting up the rivalry between Kageyama and Atsumu. And it's very subtly doing it. It's not like when we face Alba Josai, the rivalry between Oikawa and Kageyama is so vocalized. They're like, oh, by the way, did you know they're rivals? And it's like, obviously. But here, it's a little more subtle. Like, you're seeing the setup of Atsumu and Kageyama's rivalry. And it's so exciting. But yeah, I was... I like that Tsukishima, we get the acknowledgement that Tsukishima is looking forward to blocking the Mia twins because he's wanted to block that quick attack for so long. I don't think they showed it in the episode, but in the manga, Tsukishima flat out says, he's like, I've wanted to roof that for so long. And it's so satisfying seeing his face being like, I've wanted to shut that quick attack down. And then you actually see him get to do it in this. So I don't think that they showed that in the episode. Other things, like I said, Bokuto the Damn Crows line, that was straight out of the manga. So good. This episode ended oddly because I was like, we get the one serve from Yamaguchi and then it just cuts. Like he serves again and the episode's over. And that's really weird because we actually stopped halfway through chapter 260. Like the chapter actually shows Yamaguchi's other serve and it gets knocked right back to him. But I think the reason we cut off halfway through is because next episode's called Broken Heart. This is starting the Tanaka focus. This is starting the Broken Heart is referring to the childhood friend and the situation with the love triangle basically between the childhood friend Kyoko and Tanaka. We're starting that whole storyline and Tanaka being the average guy, and they've set it up in this episode with the two guys being like, oh, you've got the samurai guy, Asahi. You've got the genius setter, Kageyama. You've got Crossnose number 10, that's the crazy spiker. You've got the team captain. You've got the pinch server. You've got the middle blocker. Oh, and you've got Nishinoya, the cool libero. And who's the bald guy? What does he do? Does he even stand out? He's kind of just Mr. Average. He's just energetic. Yeah, that's all foreshadowing for Tanaka's development in the next couple of episodes, which is going to be because what I love about Tanaka's character is that he gets slowly set up as he's the upcoming ace for Crossno after Asahi graduates. And this whole next set of chapters is his character development. And so chapter 260 ends with Yamaguchi does the second serve, it gets knocked back, it bounces off of Yamaguchi, and Tanaka goes to get it, and he reaches and he misses. And so Tanaka's going to suffer these next couple episodes. The next several chapters, Tanaka just straight up fails a lot. And it's really hard. It was hard to read. I'm getting flashbacks where I'm like, man, this next part was hard to read. I remember being like, Tanaka, buddy. But the payoff, when Tanaka has this character development, the payoff is so good. And I'm really excited to see this animated, to see Tanaka's development in this match. So I was curious why they cut the episode so quickly at the end, but it's not necessarily an animation thing. It's that they're saving Tanaka's moments to start out next episode, and that's going to be very interesting. So this episode's kind of like just a transition one. We had the quick attack reveal that Inarizaki can do it. We're setting up that Inarizaki is not a force to be trifled with. They are very competent. They're just like Shiro Torizawa. They've done their homework. They know Crossano. And like the coaches, the Olympic coaches noted, both sides have pretty much shown off all they can show off that's surprising. Now it's like, now we got to get down to the nitty gritty. So, oof. This was a good episode, but it's very much a setup. I think that the next couple episodes, if you're a Tanaka fan, the next couple episodes, they're going to hurt, but then the hurt's going to be worth it. And so I'm pretty excited. But yeah, so that's enough spoilers. I've rambled enough. But anyway, I hope you all have enjoyed this reaction and this discussion. Feel free to comment down below. As always, if you're going to do spoilers, please put them in spoiler tags so that those that are watching these episodes that don't want to be spoiled are not. But otherwise, another week till IQ. I have a feeling these next couple episodes are going to be a lot of fun. So, as always, stay safe, everybody. Take care this week, and I will be back to talk about more Haikyuu very soon. Bye.